anybody who says this is just another game is kidding themselves. It's time for Carolina Duke round one. Bring it on.
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Friday, February 6, 2026. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. You're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Network, the #1 sports podcast network. Thank you for making us your first listener watch to get this Friday and your weekend going the right way. Special shout out to all our everydayers, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, and our insiders as well. This episode is brought to you by Mazda, who puts the same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, but putting in the work, that defines you. Stay tuned for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward moment. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. Here's where we're headed on the show today. Is just trying to figure out, all of the attention is on Caleb Wilson versus Cam Boozer. But how do you settle in and just make this the Carolina Duke rivalry? How does that become the story? We'll look at that. We'll get to our Four Corners preview. Who handles that moment better? We'll look at that and three other things. We'll get to know a Duke team that lost all 5 starters to the NBA draft last year. Who are they going to be? And we'll have a game prediction. And you know that means that reverse jinx is coming. Let's let it ride for a 4th straight game. We'll get to our weekend whip around. All of that is going to be great. Couple other notes before we fully dive into the show. JJ Jackson, the great host of Locked On Blue Devils, and I recorded a crossover episode together. That's coming out today on Friday at noon Eastern, both on video and audio. It'll premiere on YouTube. It'll drop into your audio feeds as well. So make sure you check that out as well. By the way, I'll link that up in the corner for those of you watching on YouTube, so you can just click on it. I had told you Coach Rob was going to be on the show today, and unfortunately, through a series of some odd events, he's not able to be. Everything is fine with Coach, but they've had snow all week in Tennessee, so class has basically been canceled at Milligan. And then on Wednesday, they were supposed to play, and there was a carbon monoxide leak at Steve Lacy Fieldhouse where they play. Thankfully, everyone seems to be okay. They've gotten the leak identified and sealed off, but coach and the team, along with a total of 300 people, had to go be checked out to make sure they were okay. So their game got postponed. It was a whole thing. But anyway, because of that, it messed up coach's schedule on Thursday. And obviously and understandably, I'm just doing it in his place. So everything seems to be fine. But if you think about it, man, say a prayer for Coach Rob and his team and that whole Milligan community. I know that's a weird thing to have to deal with. All right, here we go. Let's dive into it. It always befuddles me when people say about a game like this, hey, this is just like any other game. Come on, man, that's baloney. Now, I know what they mean when they say that. Like this idea that you have to prepare the same way you would for any other game. In the very Hoosiers moment, right? The height of the rim is the same. The distance from all of that is the same. But let's not kid ourselves, everybody. There is no way this game is just like any other game. This is Carolina and Duke. It hits different. Everyone, all the eyeballs on it. For a lot of people, you know how Christmas Day is like the unofficial start of the NBA season for a lot of people? I know even though you and I have been locked in on this thing since November, when games started, for a lot of people, the first Carolina Duke matchup is they're like, okay, college basketball is here. And so there's going to be a lot of people tuning in. Heck, you might be listening to or watching this in preparation for watching college basketball for the first time this season. And so there's no way you can say that this game is just like any other game. So you prepare similarly, but there are extra steps you have to take as well. Seth Trimble using his veteran leadership to help prepare the team for what the energy and environment is going to be like tomorrow night inside the Smith Center. The same will be true in a whole different sort of context when they go to Cameron for the last game of the regular season. You have to do extra and different things to get ready for a game of this nature. Here's the other thing about it. It's funny. I mentioned that show with JJ Jackson and I doing a crossover. Basically, the whole first segment was on how crazy this is going to be to have Caleb Wilson versus Cam Boozer. These guys who were AAU AAU teammates along with Caden Boozer, Cam's twin. They won a Peach Jam championship together for Knight Riders. They are both presumptive top 5 picks in the 2026 draft. All of that. They play the same position, so they're actually going to guard each other. It's not like when Carolina played Kansas and Caleb would only be guarding Darren Peterson if they got switched onto each other or something like that. Literally, they will have the defensive assignment on one another when the game hits tonight. And so there's all of that to watch for as part of this. And the thing, though, excuse me, I got something in my eye. That was weird. Is that as much as everyone, including me and including JJ, want to make it about Caleb versus Cam, the Tar Heels simply cannot allow that to happen. Caleb cannot allow that to happen. You cannot allow it to be about a personal battle. Yes, they will go one-on-one sometimes, but it's not about that. That has to come in the flow of the offense. Caleb cannot let himself psychologically get there, or else he will be taken out of rhythm. Excuse me. This has to continue to be a team effort. You have to fight the urge to make this Cam versus Caleb versus Cam. It cannot be that. And so if you're Coach Davis, if you're Seth Trimble, if you're the rest of the staff, you have to make sure that Caleb recognizes, hey, look, dude, I get that this is different, right? You acknowledge it, you accept it, but then you say, but forget that. For the hours of this game, lock in on North Carolina basketball. You do what you've done all season long. Make all of that happen. That's what we're looking for. And I'm sure John Shire is going to have the same kind of conversation with Cam Boozer as well. And so we'll see what's going to happen. Also, interestingly, for both teams, we obviously know that Carolina is coming off a game in which they just absolutely blitzed Syracuse on Monday night until the final 7 minutes of the game, where clearly they took their foot off the gas a little bit, and there's some level of looking ahead to this game. Guess what? Duke did the exact same thing at home against Boston College the next night. And so both teams are coming into this game at their performance in their most recent game. So both teams would have already been locked and loaded, all the more so because of what happened last time out down the stretch. As you think about it, it's like, okay, so who needs this game more? To me, clearly Carolina. Duke has lost one game. They're undefeated in ACC play. They are the team that's on the road. Carolina undefeated at home, trying to defend home court. Carolina has some big wins. Probably the biggest win so far has got to be the win at Virginia. A road win against Virginia in that environment, yeah. Obviously, Kentucky and Kansas, those are big wins as well. But I think the Virginia one holds the most water. But you can debate that all you want. If the Tar Heels win this game, by far, leaps and bounds, the biggest win of the season, not just because it's Duke, but because of Duke's ranking, Duke's standing, Duke's national reputation this year, all of that. They're a 1 seed right now. If this tournament started today, they would either be the 2nd or 3rd overall number 1 seed. So massive opportunity for Carolina. And the Tar Heels certainly need this one more. Other reasons, including what I've just said, because of the losses they took out west and in Dallas. Because Carolina is a 5 or 6 seed right now, this win is a seed line bump. That moves you into solid 4 seed status. Definitely Carolina is the team that needs this win more. I had quite a few people ask me this week about the matchups. Who is going to guard who? And we'll look at that when we get to segment 3, and I'll let you know about the Duke starters, the Duke bench guys. So stay tuned for that. I'll fill you in on who I think is going to match up and guard and all that. We'll get there. But man, we've been talking about how Carolina's offense has been humming in calendar year 2026. Carolina right now is 3rd in the nation in offensive efficiency since January 1. But here's the thing. In that same time span, Duke is 4th in defensive efficiency. That side of the ball, I'm really curious to see if either team can gain an advantage there. But the issue is, similar to how I've talked about how the front court might cancel each other out because that's both teams' strength, and then whoever can win the backcourt is who wins this game. Same kind of thing is true here. I think at some level, the Carolina offense and the Duke defense might cancel each other out. And then the outlier is the North Carolina defense. In that same time span dating back to January 1, Duke's offensive efficiency right up their elite status with the other 2 units I just talked about. They're 7th in the nation. The problem, as you well know, is Carolina's defense, which since January 1st is 166th in the nation in defensive efficiency in calendar year 26. So that's what we're looking for. Can Carolina buckle down there and make it happen? I don't know. We're going to find out soon. So all of that said, the team that is able to look at all this, all the pageantry and circus of it, and just settle in and play is going to be the team that's in much better shape. We'll look at that and the rest of the Four Corners preview all coming up here in just a second. Right after I tell you about FanDuel, y'all, it's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff. Drake May, baby, getting to the Super Bowl in year 2. It's crazy. It's the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of the action with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. So whether you're backing the favorite Seahawks or you're riding with the underdog Patriots, maybe you're trying to build one last same game parlay for the year, this is the game everyone's been waiting for, where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every single snap feels bigger. If you're a new customer, you can bet just $5. And guess what? If it wins, you're going to get $200 back in bonus bets to utilize. Man, that's really cool. The line is holding at Seahawks -4.5 as the favorites in this game. If you want to rock with Drake May, man, how cool would that, man? What about if Drake won a Super Bowl and Carolina beat Duke in the same weekend? That would be insanity. I would absolutely love it. Speaking of which, Duke is the favorite in the basketball game, -6.5. If you think Carolina can win, or maybe even say just win straight up, man, that'd be great to say. I was going to say stay within the points, but if they win straight up, they definitely do that. So that's what we're looking at. So you guys, make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the football season's over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. This episode's also brought to you by TurboTax. Y'all, tax season is here, and it doesn't have to take over your life, because this year TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand off everything and move on with your day. And oh boy, do I need that, because life is crazy and taxes stress me out. Because with TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert from start to finish without that stress I'm talking about. So instead of spending hours trying to figure out all the forms, I can meet with the local TurboTax expert in person, or if your schedule's crazy, online. And then they handle all of it, from W-2s to self-employment forms, and then they work to get you every single deduction they possibly can. You just upload your documents, you go about your day, and you're going to get updates right in the TurboTax app. So for a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a TurboTax expert for just $150 all in if one of them didn't file for you last year. All you got to do is file by February 28th. So take taxes off your plate and get back to life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. Thanks for making Locked On Tar Heels your first listener watch of the day, and making the Locked On Network the #1 sports podcast network. Man, it's so cool, and it's because of all of you that this thing continues to grow and grow and grow. Let's keep rocking it. And if you want to grow even more with the show, you can join our brand new Everydayers Club, one-on-one text access with me, all access episodes, and so much more. Check it out. That link is in the show notes. Time for the Four Corners preview for UNC Duke round number 1. What we do, in case some of you are new, is as a way to honor Coach Steen Smith and his famed Four Corners offense. In the lead up to a game, we always do a Four Corners preview. And in the recap, we always do a Four Corners recap, highlighting things that either I think are going to determine how this game goes, or things that did determine how it went on the back end. Number 1, I alluded to it, but I want to say more about it. Number 1, which team, Carolina or Duke, can handle the emotion of the first 4 and the last 4 and settle in more quickly? When you think about the way these sort of games work, or in a baseball, in a World Series game, for example, the first and the 9th inning, the emotions are running high, adrenaline, all that. And really, innings 2 through 8 are where you settle in and the game can be won or lost. But also, you know, you'll see a team at the beginning of a game get out to a hot start, a big lead. And then it's like, can you continue to ride that as teams settle in, or can the other team reel them in? So let's say Carolina gets out to a 13-3 lead or something of that nature. Can they keep pushing it out once the emotion wears off and you get into the middle minutes of the first half? Or will Duke reel things back in, or vice versa? If Duke gets out to a big lead, Carolina can't panic. They can't freak out in the emotion. They've got to settle in, let Seth Trimble calm things down, and then go get buckets and reel Duke back in and catch up. So what I'm watching for is the emotion and the adrenaline of the first 4 and last 4 of each half, right? So basically minutes 20 to 16 of the first half, 4 till halftime, 20 to 16 of the second half, and the final 4 minutes of the game. Who wins those 4 segments? But then equally as importantly, but kind of differently, who wins the 12 minutes in between all that in each half? Which team settles in more capably and just plays their brand of basketball? Whoever is able to do that is going to be in better shape. You know how these games go. A team will get a lead, the other team will go on a run, pull them back in, and it's just about continuing to fight for what you're trying to do. So watch out for that right out of the gate, right before halftime, right out of halftime, and right at the end. Who can handle those moments the best is going to be in great shape. I would say Carolina is going to be in good shape for that because they're at home and they got the senior leader in Seth Trimble that Duke doesn't necessarily have. Now, I'm not saying Duke's going to be all out of sorts, but they are a much younger team than Carolina. Number 2 in the Four Corners preview. I love it when we get these something's got to give moments, these strength on strength moments. Here's the one I've identified for this game. Both teams are elite inside the arc. Duke in terms of their 2-point field goal offense, and Carolina in terms of their 2-point field goal defense. Not that the teams are slouches the other way, because Carolina's 2-point offense is great, as is Duke's 2-point defense, but it's this side where it really shines. From inside the arc, from 2-point range on the season, Duke is shooting 62.8%, which is crazy. That's 4th in the nation. But on the flip side, you know this because we've been talking about it a lot, Carolina's 2-point field goal percentage defense is allowing teams just 44% from 2, which is 5th in the nation. So Duke's 2-point offense, 4th in field goal percentage. Carolina's 2-point defense is 5th in field goal percentage. Again, Carolina allowing 44%, Duke getting 62.8. So which team can win out, right? It's going to hover somewhere in the 50s. If Carolina can keep Duke maybe, to 53% or less, and I know that's like, well, that doesn't sound that difficult. I know, but inside the arc, it's much more difficult. So if Carolina could keep Duke even to 50% from 2, they'd be in great shape. Part of that is because we talked about it yesterday's show some. Duke's not a great 3-point or free throw shooting team. I know Carolina is not elite at shooting threes, but their season average is better than Duke's, and Carolina is really bad at free throws, and Duke is only marginally better. So if Carolina can mitigate Duke from inside the arc, they're going to be in great shape. So watch for that. Number 3 in the Four Corners preview. How does Duke defend Caleb Wilson and Henri Veesaar? Do they double them up? Do they bring doubles? Or are they just going to be content to provide single coverage, or option 3 or C or whatever you want to go with? Do they mix it up and try to confuse particularly Caleb Wilson? We've seen both of this, and even in the most recent game, Syracuse was content to play both of them single coverage. What that led to, in my opinion, was because they didn't bring the doubles, Caleb didn't have to pass out as much, for example, and Carolina only took 18 threes instead of like 30-something, as often happens when a team brings a double. What's funny is, if I had my guess, I think Duke, for the vast majority, is going to feel like, with the capability of Cam Boozer and Patrick Gongba and Malik Brown, I almost said Derek Queen. That's funny. Maryland guy. Malik Brown, when he's in, I think they're going to feel like they can play single coverage on those guys and succeed, right? Like, obviously, in those moments, Caleb will get his some, Henri will get his some, but I think Duke can live with that because they don't want to help off of those shooters because Carolina has been shooting better. But also, I wouldn't be shocked to see Duke bring those doubles and dare Carolina to beat them from 3. And so my intuition is that Duke will start off relying on single coverage, but then maybe mix it up some to try to get Carolina into rushed rotations, taking silly threes or something like that, or forcing Caleb. Every now and again, Caleb will try to beat that double team when he shouldn't. So watch for that. How does Duke choose to guard Caleb and Henri in the interior? Four Corners preview point number 4. Bench production could play a vital role in this basketball game. Obviously I've got the numbers for Carolina, but I went and got Duke's as well, because you got to go game by game. It's not just out there in terms of bench scoring in all games, in ACC games, and what percentage of Duke's points are coming from the bench. As I guessed, in total for the season, the teams are pretty average. Duke's bench for the season gets 22 points a game. Carolina's 21 points a game. I mean, it's right there together. For the season, that's 26.1% of Duke's points. For the season, that's 25% of Carolina's points. So basically, the way to sum it up, on the season, both teams are getting a quarter of their points from the bench. But interestingly, in ACC play, the teams are going in opposite directions. How about that? Here's what I mean. In ACC play, Duke's bench points per game has dropped from 22 to 17.7. So a little over 4 points a game less. And their percentage of points coming from the bench is now 22% instead of 26%. So several percentage points below being a quarter of what they get. It's more like a fifth of what they get than a quarter of what they get. As for Carolina, it's gone up. Carolina's bench has gone up from 21 points a game to 23.6, while moving from 25% of all their points to 27.5% of their points in ACC play. So there's a possibility for Carolina's bench to outduel Duke's bench. Now, some of that is, will Jaydon Young continue to start? I'd say, why not? Because it hasn't been broken. But that means that more of Carolina's points are already on their bench in the forms of Jarin Stevenson, Luka Bogavac, and Jonathan Powell as the main three there, right? Luka really settling into things, coming into his own double digit. I almost said triple digit. Luka Bogavac scoring triple digits in his last couple. No, Luka double digits in 3 straight games. Jaren's been bringing a lot. Jonathan Powell had double digits the other night against Syracuse. So which bench can outduel the other? That is another factor that will probably factor into how this game winds up. All right, you guys, Duke has a whole brand new quintet of starters because the other 5 went off to the draft last year. So who are they? How is Duke going to attack? We'll look at all of that, plus our weekend whip around in just a second. Right after I tell you about Mazda, y'all, this is Mazda's Moving the Game Forward segment for those who show there's more to the score than what's on screen. For me, it's Jarin Stevenson right now. And here's what I mean. Yes, he had that massive 17-point outburst against Virginia to really help Carolina get back. But what Jarin's doing is beyond just scoring right now. He is being so much more aggressive than he was earlier in the season, fighting for rebounds, diving after loose balls. I know he's this gentle, quiet, wonderful soul off the court, but man, I feel like we're seeing a different side of him right now. I need Jarin Stevenson to keep that going tomorrow night in this game, keep moving the game forward. Jarin Stevenson, he's the guy that's Mazda's moving the game forward moment this week. That reminds us of what it really takes to raise the bar. It is that extra work off the court, dialing in every detail, giving it that extra fire, that grit, and that I never quit mentality. Mazda puts that same passion into every model. Highlights make the reel, but what it took to get there makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. All right, Carolina Duke round 1 tomorrow, Saturday, February 7th in the Dean Smith Center, 6:30 Eastern on ESPN. The good news is that Duke actually allowed a 2.5-hour window before Carolina's game. Oklahoma State at Arizona tips at 4 Eastern, and then you got 2.5 hours till our game. So that's great news. Shouldn't be any issue unless they go to like 8 overtimes or something like that. Right now at FanDuel, the line is Duke by 6.5. KenPom has Duke by 6, but here's the weird thing. Usually the analytics sites are in lockstep with one another. Not so in this case. Torvik has literally half of the margin. Duke favored, but only -3. Very interesting to see. Again, usually you see more variance from those two being aligned, like KenPom and Torvik, while the human line from the sports books is a little bit different. So very curious about that from Torvik's line. Series record all-time, Carolina leads 145-117. It's not a massive gap, but the Tar Heels do lead it by just, what would that be, by 28 games. The series has been very streaky lately. Duke won all 3 last year. Oh, the lane violation. Oh, man, why did that just come into my head? Dang it, you guys. Poor Jalen Withers. I love you, but wow, that was so painful. Carolina won both meetings in 23-24. Duke won both the season before, 22-23. They played 3 times, obviously, in the 21-22 season. Duke won the first one, but Carolina won the next 2. Yeah, right? Heels won both in 2021. Duke won both in 1920, on and on and on. Nobody has won 4 straight in the series since all the way back like 03 to 05 when Duke won 4 straight as Carolina was getting things figured out. And then Marvin Williams ended that bad boy at the end of the regular season. So really back and forth in the series of late. And man, I would love for Carolina to like dominate, but that's Carolina Duke, baby, right? Jon Scheyer is in his 4th season at the helm of the Blue Devils. Let's just be honest. He's doing a phenomenal job. I think, I hate to have to say, Jon Scheyer is a really good coach. He's a great recruiter. Seems like a good dude. No, it's weird to say, but there it is. Duke is 4th in the AP poll right now. They were picked first in the ACC preseason, living up to it. They're 10-0. And undefeated. Clemson won back of that after winning at Stanford on Wednesday night. Currently, Duke is 2nd in the net ranking. So this is a very quad 1 game and ain't going anywhere. So that's why this is such a massive opportunity. Duke is 3rd at KenPom, 6th at Torvik, 5th in offensive efficiency at KenPom, 11th at Torvik, and then 3rd and 5th in defensive efficiency at those 2 sites. Duke is 21-1 on the season. Their lone loss was to Texas Tech by 1 back on December 20th. That's it. That's their lone loss. They've had a couple other close calls, but that's the only one they actually lost. Best non-con wins, they had multiples of them. They beat Kansas, beat Arkansas. That was on Thanksgiving Day, right after Carolina lost to Michigan State. They beat Florida. They won at Michigan State. They beat Texas in ACC play. They've beaten Louisville twice already. They swept the California trip. They've still got, similar to Carolina, they've still got both Carolina games. They've still got at NC State. They've still got to play Virginia. Of course, as things would go, they don't play Miami this year, which makes 0 sense to me. Like Carolina's team, they don't play as Boston College, which is great because that would be a net. Bleh. But then you've got Duke doesn't play Miami. Like, what are we doing? And it's their new coach is a former Duke assistant. That would have been a no-brainer. Anyway, whatever. Usual starters for Duke: Caleb Foster at the 1, Isaiah Evans at the 2, Dame Sarr, their international guy, at the 3, Cam Boozer at the 4, and Patrick Ngongba at the 5. He was like the backup last year, the backup 5, along with Malik Brown. They were the main backup front court players. As far as how Carolina is going to match up, here's my expectation. The front court is the no-brainer to me. It's Caleb Wilson on Cam Boozer. It's Henri Veesaar on Patrick Ngongba. And then obviously you'll have Jarin Stevenson factor into that mix along with Malik Brown as well. With Jaydon Young starting, it's been like Seth plays the 3 essentially, but Isaiah Evans at the 2 is their second leading scorer. So my expectation is that we're going to see Seth on Isaiah Evans, and Dame Sarr is bigger, but Jaydon Young is tough. So I think we'll see Young on Sarr and then Derek Dixon and Caleb Foster on one another. And then obviously it'll move around as the others come in. For Duke, those other guys that will come in is Caden Boozer, Cam's twin brother, who is 5th on their team in minutes per game. So he's getting starter level minutes. He is more the true point guard, not necessarily Caleb Foster. And then you got Nick Hamenia, another freshman who he can get hot from beyond the arc. So you got to watch out for that. And then Darren Harris, he will play, but it's a big, from that top 8, they all get 19 or more minutes a game. Darren Harris is like 9 minutes a game. So he's like kind of supplemental in a similar way to what Jaydon Young is for Carolina, right? Like about 7 to 10 minutes a game is what we'll expect from him. So that is the personnel. That's how I think the starters will match up. I think the critical ones are Seth on Isaiah Evans and Cam Boozer and Caleb Wilson. Got to watch for that. Ngongba is their 3rd leading scorer, so Henry's role against him will be interesting. So that's funny. Carolina's 3 leading scorers, all guarding Duke's 3 leading scorers, and so that'll be really interesting to see. Obviously, you got to watch for X factors. Who are the dudes coming off the bench to make it happen? I think for Carolina, it's Luka. Watch for Luka and how he plays in this game. Prediction, I got to do it. Again, Duke favored by 6.5. They're going to win this game. Duke 80, North Carolina 75. Reverse jinx, wink. Let's go, Carolina. Let's do it. All right, weekend whip around really quick. Let's get to this thing. Women's basketball playing twice this weekend. They played yesterday, Thursday. I'm recording before the game, so you already know the result of their game against Clemson. But on Sunday, they're over in Winston-Salem at Wake. That's 2 p.m. on ACC Network. You can get it before the Super Bowl kicks off, and so that'll be good. Carolina ladies winning 5 straight heading into the Clemson game. So you'll already know, is it 6 in a row? We'll find out. They're back in the rankings right now at 25th. The big thing going on this weekend in Carolina athletics outside of Carolina Duke is in women's tennis. It's the ITA National Team Indoor Championship. There are 16 teams playing up in Illinois. Illinois is hosting one bracket, Northwestern the other. Each of them it's like 2 8-team brackets. This will go Friday through Tuesday. And so Carolina starts today, Friday, in the Sweet 16 at 4:30 Eastern against the host Illinois, who is the 8th seed on Carolina's side of the bracket, Carolina being the 1. Should they win that one, Saturday will be the Elite 8 at 4:30. Carolina would either play Duke, interestingly enough, or Ohio State. It's off Sunday. The Final Four and the National Championship are all on Northwestern's courts. The Final Four for Carolina would be Monday at 7:30. Against the 4 teams on the other half of Carolina's side of the bracket are Oklahoma as the 2 seed, Texas A&M as the 3, Vandy as the 6, and Texas as the 7. So that's like the SEC quad there. And then should Carolina be able to get to the national championship, that's Tuesday night at 7:30. And I'm not going to read all 8 teams, but here's what you need to know. Of the 8 teams on the other side, Carolina on this young season has already played and beaten 3 of them. So we'll see how this plays out, but really, really cool opportunity for Carolina, who's done very well in this event. Men's tennis played Thursday against Furman. Again, similarly, I don't know the result because I'm recording before that, but they play again, hosting Princeton on Sunday at noon. Softball has had some weather-related stuff. They haven't been able to play yet, but they're hosting a season opening tournament. Was, I think, originally supposed to be at Elon, if I remember correctly. Now it's in Chapel Hill. So yesterday they played St. Joe's at 2:30. Today they play Elon at 2. Tomorrow they play St. Joe's again at 2. And then Sunday hosting James Madison also at 2. So good luck to the softball ladies, having hopefully another great season. Wrestling in action tonight against Duke. So a lot of potential Carolina Duke matchups this weekend. That'll be 7 p.m. on ACC Network. Obviously, the guys have had a couple tough losses, have lost 2 straight, but they're still ranked 13th in the nation, so that's great. Men's lacrosse season opener on Saturday against Jacksonville. That's noon ACC Network Extra. It was supposed to be last weekend at Towson, but that got snowed out as well. Women's lacrosse has their season opener today at James Madison, 3 Eastern. Good luck there. The men's golf team is out in Hawaii starting yesterday, going through Saturday. Jealous, very jealous. Women's gymnastics is in action on Sunday at number 22 NC State. The Carolina ladies are 12th in the nation, 4 p.m. on ACC Network. Big opportunity to get a ranked win there. Swimming and diving is hosting the UNC Invitational. That wraps up today. Starting today, though, is the Virginia Tech diving invite that goes through Sunday. Fencing, Saturday at Duke at 8 a.m., Sunday at Carolina at 8 a.m. And then track and field has 2 different things going on today and tomorrow up in Chicago, the Wisconsin Windy City Invitational. And then tomorrow, Saturday, is the JDL Camel City Invitational in Winston-Salem. You guys, it's all picking back up. So much action going on. Some winter teams, some spring teams picking back up. Heck, we don't even have baseball going yet, but that's very, very soon. You all know that I love that one a ton as long with a lot of the rest of these sports. But I'm a baseball guy, man. I can't help it. And I think the Diamond Heels are going to be really good this year. That pitching staff, oh, baby, it's going to be insanely good. All right, y'all, thanks so much for joining me here on this Friday to get you ready for the Duke-Carolina matchup round 1. As a reminder, at noon Eastern today, we will drop a crossover episode with Locked On Blue Devils. Great stuff there. A fun conversation with JJ as always. Y'all, behind the scenes, you always wonder, like, are these... Dude, he is salt of the earth. A great dude. If you haven't subscribed to the show, do it right now on video and audio so you don't miss a second. We will be live after the game tomorrow night. Make plans now to tune in for that. We'll have the link posted and everything. If you haven't joined the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, we'd love to see you there. That link's in the show notes, as is the link for our brand new Everydayers Club. Check it out. Love to see you there. You guys, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. Can't wait to talk with you again tomorrow after the game. Please be a party, not a therapy session. But until then, peace.